Welcome now the man challenging Democrat incumbent Sherrod Brown for the Ohio Senate seat up for election. He is Congressman Jim Renacci, currently who represents Ohio's 16th district in the north of the state. Congressman Renacci joins us today from the Capitol. Welcome, Mr. Congressman. Good to have you with us.
Thank you, David. Glad to be with you.
So much of the news is dominated by what is going on with Judge Kavanaugh right now. Look into your Senate race in particular. The polls that I've seen indicate you have a ways to close with Sherrod Brown. Is this going to help you or hurt you?
Well, first off, the polls that only count is in November, and this is actually helping because people back home are tired of what's going on. I've had people say to me, do you really want to go there? That Senate seems so broken. But the process is broken because we have the Democrats who have now set a standard of conduct before somebody can get confirmed to the Supreme Court. If they're going to set a standard of conduct, they better start looking at their own members, including the individual I'm running against, who has domestic abuse in his background with his first marriage. So it's sad that they're going to hold this standard of conduct for some, but not everyone. And I think that's a real key that is going to start to change my race as well.
But what about the male-female breakdown in the Senate race? Because whatever the standards are the Democrats hold people up to, there seem to be a lot of women around the country who seem to be very hurt and angry by this entire development and the way it's been handled. They don't seem to be blaming the Democrats right now.
Well, actually, there should be a, when I go back home, they're mad at both sides. But they're also mad at the spectacle. Look, we do believe, and after I watched the hearings yesterday, I do believe something happened in Dr. Ford's life. But I also look at Judge Kavanaugh and see somebody who, again, there's witness after witness that says he wasn't there and this didn't happen. So both credible witnesses, but in the end, I don't think what she's alleging happened with Dr. Kavanaugh. It does appear it happened. But why would the Democrats make this such an issue? Well, again, I still don't think they agree that President Trump has won, and that's the problem here. The process should be the process. The American people want to see us working together. It's not happening right now.
So focusing, Congressman Renacci, on that poll in November, as you say, it's the only poll that really counts. How are you planning to beat Sherrod Brown? What are the issues? What are the stakes there in the state of Ohio? They're going to say, I'm going to vote for Jim Renacci rather than Sherrod Brown.
Well, here's what's interesting. As people get to know me in Ohio, they know that I'm a business guy. I've been around for 3 decades, creating jobs, employing people, employed over 3,000 people, created over 1,500 jobs. Sherrod Brown's been in politics for 44 years, since he graduated from college. There is a big difference between me and him. I've had to live with the rules that he's made. He's made the rules that have caused us to fall behind, especially in Ohio. I want to make Ohio first. He loves Washington more than he loves Ohio, and that's starting to be seen in his voting record. His voting record, he's one of the 3 or 4 most liberal senators in the country, not somebody that represents Ohio. Ohio's a purple state. That's the real difference. And when people hear that and see that, they realize there's a big difference between he and I, and that's the reason I'm winning over more and more voters. The only difference is he's had 44 years of name ID. I've only had 6 months in the Senate race of getting my name ID out. And isn't it a shame that even after all the money he's spending attacking me, that he still can't break 45 or 46%?
So, Congressman Renacci, you mentioned that you're a businessman. And as a businessman, you know the consequences, potentially, of disrupting trade relationships. I talked to Hank Paulson, the former Secretary of Treasury under President George W. Bush, yesterday. And this is the warning he had about the possible long-term consequences of the administration's policy. Listen to what he said.
I think we don't pay enough attention to the dangerous long-term impact. Companies and countries want to do business with the United States because we've got reliable, stable economic policies. And so the question really is, you know, is China going to start looking for new markets for which they're going to buy soybeans, Brazil and Africa? You know, are they going to be concerned that they need to protect themselves if there's another tariff war and they need other suppliers?
So, Congressman, are American businesses endangering themselves by the trade policies of this administration? And does the administration understand it? Are they going to get this thing resolved in time?
Well, look, China started the trade war. We all know that. We're in a trade war because of China, and past administrations haven't done much about it. I applaud this president for doing what he's doing. At the same time, I'm not somebody who, I believe in free trade, fair trade, and reciprocal trade. I believe the president needs to use these tariffs to try and strike a deal, but I'm not a long-term person on making sure that we're using these tariffs to have a trade war. As I travel the state of Ohio, the agriculture industry, the manufacturers, all the industries in Ohio are concerned, but also individuals are concerned as prices are going up. So I've said all along, I support the president's use of these tariffs to make a difference versus my opponent, Sherrod, who loves these tariffs. He's talking about this is what's needed. No, no, no. We need free trade, fair trade, and reciprocal trade, and we need to use the tariffs to negotiate. That's what people are willing to wait for. They're willing to wait long enough for the negotiations, but they don't want to see this long term.
So finally, Congressman, in the last few minutes, the House has actually passed supposedly what's called the Tax Cut 2.0 plan that will make permanent some of those private tax cuts and also make permanent the limitations on state and local tax deductions. What's your position on that? Are you in favor of extending that despite what it's going to cost the budget?
Well, look, I'm a CPA, I'm a business guy. I realize we need to make sure there's permanency. We need to make sure there's certainty and predictability, especially for those pass-through companies. The bill is working. The tax cuts is helping spur the economy up. But the last thing we need is for all this stuff to start to expire. So we need to continue it through. That's why I supported this. I believe that we need to make all these things permanent. And in the end, when people start to talk about deficits, the Obama years, we had a 1.8 sustained growth. That's unsustainable for our economy. We need to get over 3%. This is a way through the tax cuts and jobs bill. It's working in Ohio. It's causing middle-income families to have $2,000 on average more money to spend. Businesses are reinvesting. Over 40 companies in Ohio have reinvested back in their business, have added employees, given bonuses out to their employees. This is what's generating this growth, and this is what's going to continue to give us sustained growth over the next 10 years.
Okay, Congressman, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. That's Congressman Jim Renacci, Republican of Ohio.